Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another classic movie review for you guys. And again, this movie I'm going to be reviewing, I wasn't necessarily planning on watching this year. I figured I'd watch it. I don't know, I just randomly thought I probably should watch it because it's a movie that I've put off for watching for quite a while. And that is the 1972 drama musical classic Cabaret. Yes, I have put off watching this movie for a very long time, mainly because of Chicago. If you guys know, I hate Chicago. Not the musical. The musical's great. The music's great in Chicago too, but I hate the movie. I think that it's just I don't like it, and I heard this film is very similar to that because that entire movie is all stage pieces. However, after seeing All That Jazz and what that film did, I was very interested in this movie, seeing if that would be as good as All That Jazz. And after watching it, no, it's not as good as All That Jazz, but it's still a masterpiece. It's still one of the best musicals ever made. And it's probably one of the most, it has some really dark themes in it that I think are very important for today, and it's a movie that I personally absolutely fucking loved. I loved Cabaret. I think it's a great movie, and it is really an essential when it comes to classic musicals. So let's get to the plot of Cabaret. Basically, the film takes place in Berlin, basically, when the Nazi Party was starting to grow. This was before the Holocaust, but this was when Hitler was basically, like, recruiting people to join, and there's this place called the Kit Kat Club, and basically there's this girl, Sally Bowles, that works there. She works at this Kit Kat Club, basically, in Berlin, and she's American, and she meets this guy, Brian, who he moves into the boarding house where Sally lives, and basically she starts trying to seduce him. However, she starts suspecting that he may be gay, but despite this, she tries to carry on the relationship with him, and basically her story is told through this love story, but also we see through the Cabaret, her emotions come out, and that's basically a plot of Cabaret, which I think is pretty awesome the way they handle it. What Cabaret does is what Chicago should have done. Like, what Cabaret does, I feel, is what Chicago was trying to do, but didn't really work. And there are a lot of things I really do love about this film that make it as good as it is. But let's first get to the acting here, because the acting is just spectacular in this movie. I mean, it really is fantastic. Everyone does a great job. Liza Minnelli as Sally Bowles, I mean, it's Liza Minnelli. What can you say? She's one of the greats. Like, that's not... That saying she's, like, amazing in this movie is an understatement. She was born to play this role of Sally Bowles. I mean, Liza Minnelli, when you think of her, she really hasn't had a bigger role than she has as Sally Bowles. That's what you will probably recognize her as. That's what people will probably say to her, and this was the role she was born to play. I mean, she's perfect in this movie. Her character is fantastic. She's hilarious at points. She's really devastatingly tragic at points. I mean, her character is just great. And the way she continues to develop this relationship with Brian is pretty fascinating. Even though she suspects he may be gay, it's really interesting. And her character as well, I think, is definitely very interesting. I really love her character. You can connect with her character very well, and she just does a fantastic job. There are little sprinkles of Judy Garland in there. I mean, she was her mother, so you can definitely see Judy Garland in Liza Minnelli, which is awesome. I mean, she definitely has that charm that Judy Garland had. And if you guys know, Judy Garland is my favorite actress of all time, so Liza Minnelli, though, is still fantastic. I think she did an amazing job in this movie, and she really is just... It's just as amazing when she sings, maybe this time, as it was in 1972, which I will get to the music, but it's just, she did a fantastic job. Michael York is great as Brian Roberts. The chemistry between these two is fantastic. It's very awkward as well, because it's not your typical love story, definitely. It's more of a downer, and I like the way they portrayed that in this movie. They definitely did a great job with that. And the movie is essentially a really fucked up love story, but there's a lot more to it. And by far, the best part of this movie has to be Joel Grey as the MC. Let me just tell you guys something. There have only been two people that have played this role. Joel Grey and Alan Cumming. That is because it's a very specific role. You need to have a very specific personality for this role. You need to look creepy but entertaining, and it's hard to do, but Joel Grey just handled it perfectly in this movie. I mean, look at his appearance. You have to be at least intimidated by him. But what I love at the MC is he kind of represents what Hitler was in a way. The way that he gets people at the Kit Kat Club, the way he approaches people, and the calmness of things and things like that. I think it's just very interesting. And the way that he's very welcoming, but also very intimidating. I mean, it very much reminds you of Hitler. I mean, if you look at Hitler's speeches, he would start off like really quiet and then get very loud, and that's very much like the MC in this movie. And the way they portrayed that, I just thought was phenomenal. I mean, he is so great in this movie. He's played this role several times on Broadway. I mean, it's one of his best known roles by far. And Alan Cumming, too. They've both played the role. But the other thing I love about the MC is the way they compare what's going on in the Kit Kat Club to what's going on outside. This movie is a great social commentary with that, and I will get into that. But Joel Grey just kills it. By far the best thing about this movie. And without Joel Grey being as good as he was, the movie would not be as good, definitely. Helma Graham's really good. Also, Oliver Collignon, he has one scene in the movie, but it is probably one of the most memorable scenes in the entire movie, and we'll talk about when we get to the music, but oh my god, his song is pretty incredible. And yeah, so everyone in the cast is great. Everyone did a great job, and I really don't think there was a weak link in the cast. The directing by Bob Fosse, again, is fantastic. The way he portrays these stories is just great. He makes it a very psychological movie, and the movie definitely is very psychological. I mean, a lot of what you're seeing, a lot of the music performances, there are things that actually happen, but it's not like Chicago, where it's just like she's randomly picturing everything as a stage performance. It's very much more like All That Jazz, but in the sense that these performances are actually happening. And the way he did that, though, was definitely very interesting. His directing was spot on, and he did a great job. And I have to say, I mean, Bob Fosse, again, he's one of the greats. There's a reason why. He did a fantastic job with this. Um, the writing and screenplay of this movie is just so good. I mean, there are times this movie's a lot of fun, but the best thing about this movie by far is the social commentary that it has on what was going on in Nazi Germany, because it's very interesting. It's very important subject matter that was very controversial as well. I mean, a lot of people don't like the movie because of that. They think it like glorifies it, and I completely disagree. I don't think it glorifies it at all, and I think that's just very interesting the way they did it, because again, the film's essentially this love story gone wrong, but it uses its time period and setting very well, and that's why the tone of the movie is so good. It focuses a lot more on the time period. I mean, a lot of the movie, you know what the outcome's gonna be, and they show you things, and let's just say that it doesn't get better. Like, they'll show you things like Nazi Germany and people joining Hitler's group and things like that. It's very hard stuff to watch, guys, but the way they handle it is just great. Something I really did love is the way they would compare the Kit Kat Club to what was going on with Hitler, because they'd show you what was going on outside of the Kit Kat Club, and then they'd show you what was going on inside, and it's very similar, and I think that just is very interesting the way they did that. The social commentary is very interesting, and it's a very anti-film in terms of, what happened with that, and I think just that whole storyline is very interesting. It doesn't seem like something that works, but it works in such a fantastic way, and they really handled it spot on, I have to say. However, I will say that the love story aspect of the movie is pretty great as well. I love seeing this love story happen. I didn't really know what was going to happen with that, but it was just as compelling as what was going on with the screenplay. The cinematography is some of the best I've ever seen in a musical. I mean, very glossy, over the top. The costumes look great. This really does look like a real cabaret that you'd see in the 1930s. I mean, I wouldn't know personally, obviously, I wasn't around then, but I think the cinematography is gorgeous to this movie. It's some of the best you could see in a musical. Everything is just, it looks beautiful. Everything looks beautiful. I mean, as they say in the first song, Welcome In, even the orchestra is beautiful. Like, it looks amazing to look at. It's an amazing movie to look at. It looks great, and they really handled it perfectly. It also really does go with the similarities definitely very well. The way the camera would pan sometimes is very effective. Like, a lot of the movie, there's some really good tracking shots in the movie that I personally really did love, and I think that's one of the reasons I love the movie as much as I did. However, the music in this movie is just as timeless as it was in 1973 and in the 1960s when it was made. I mean, this is Candor and Ebb. Obviously, it's gold. Like, they've never written anything bad. This is one of those musicals where every song is a hit, and the way they make the songs relate to the story is pretty phenomenal. I mean, you don't expect it to work, but it works so well, and virtually every song is in the Kit Kat Club. But there's only one song that's not, and that's Tomorrow Belongs to Me. Now, I really want to talk about this song because it's the most controversial song in the entire musical. Reason being because, let me just tell you the premise of it. It's a boy singing to this group of people at a party, and you soon find out that he is basically trying to recruit them to join Hitler's army. That's really what he's doing. The only person that's not happy about this is the old man, probably because he knows the outcome, he knows what's happening. For all we know, he could be Jewish even. I mean, that I think is just very fascinating. The thing about this song, though, that and it's probably my favorite song in the musical, I have to say, and the reason being because the fact that it's just so effective. The message is perfect, and it really does go with the message of this movie. I think it's really fantastic the way they handled it. But this song has been like so controversial because people actually thought that Kander and Ebb wrote this as a real Nazi anthem. People have actually sang it that way. People have thought this was a real Nazi anthem. I mean, it was a very controversial song. It's really fascinating. I mean, listen to it. It sounds like an actual Nazi anthem. It's brilliant the way Kander and Ebb came up with that. I mean, yes, they are Jewish, but they weren't in the Nazi group or anything, so who knows? I mean, that's amazing how they knew what they were doing. It was pretty fantastic, and I really did love that. And the songs are just, they're so classic. Besides that, there are so many classic songs. I mean, you know at least one song from Cabaret, whether it's We'll Come In, which is such a brilliant way to open the film, I have to say, perfectly sets up the tone of the movie. Maybe This Time, which is by far one of my favorite musical songs I think of all time. Maybe This Time. I mean, just the way it goes. It's the point in the film where she thinks things are gonna go right for this relationship, and she thinks she knows what she's doing, and she thinks that things are gonna go well for her. And then, of course, the highlight of the film is Cabaret at the end of the film. It's such a triumphant moment. You see Sally Bowles turn into that celebrity. It's an amazing role, and I just think they did a fantastic job with that. I mean, she nails everything, I have to say. I mean, as I said, Liza Minnelli hits every note in this movie just perfectly. That's one of the reasons she's as good as she is as Sally Bowles. I mean, she hits every note, the choreography as well. Holy shit, is the choreography amazing in this movie. It is phenomenal. I mean, it is astounding, the cinematography. There is stuff that looks really, really hard what they're doing, but it's phenomenal to look at. And they did a fantastic job with the cinematography. It is amazing. I mean, the choreography. It is amazing dancing. I mean, it really is incredible the way they handle it, I have to say. I really did love it. And also, this is one of those movies where you just can't wait for the songs because the songs are just so good and they're all so amazing. And it's not like when the songs go away, the movie's not good, but I'm saying this is definitely one of those movies that you can't wait for the songs to come on. Again, most of the songs are stage performances, but they do capture the time period, and you get a sense of how the Cabaret was kind of the place to be back when, it was kind of like the place to be back when the Nazis weren't with Hitler. It's kind of like that. That's what was going on there, and I think that's definitely very interesting. And it didn't feel awkward like Chicago. Chicago just felt awkward. Like when we would see all these random musical performances, it felt awkward. This felt very natural. It felt much more important, and it had a lot more to say. That's the thing, is that this movie has a lot more to say than than Chicago did. And the sets of this movie are completely insane. They're ridiculous. The costumes, the makeup, it's all crazy, and it really does show you, it really does capture the time here very well, and I really did love that. And the editing style as well, I thought was very unique. The way they would handle the film, there would be times when Sally Bowles would basically just be talking with Brian, and then we cut to a song from like a conversation they had, which I thought was pretty brilliant the way they did that, and I definitely really love that. And whenever the songs come up, they come up at like the perfect time in the movie. It's like, all right, yes, another song. And it never feels like there were too many of them. There actually aren't too many of them. There are about, I think, like probably 9 or 10 of them, if I'm correct. Yeah, actually, no, there's 11 of them. But they're all great. They're all fantastic, and I think they all did they're all fantastic jobs. And the way they relate the songs to what's going on is also fantastic, and they really help you connect with the story better. I definitely really do love. For example, as I said, maybe this time, that is the critical scene in the film where Sally Bowles is just everything's starting to go right for her, and you really start to connect with her character more. You start to appreciate her character more, and that's something I think is really great with the way they handle it, I have to say. Overall, Cabaret is just one of the best musicals of all time. It really is. I mean, if you want a great musical, this is it. It's hilarious, disturbing, insightful, dramatic, heartbreaking. It's tragic. It's a lot of fun, though, too. Like, it's disturbingly a lot of fun the way it is. I don't know how to explain, but it's a lot of fun at times, and it also doesn't sugarcoat anything. Like, it shows you what's going on. It shows you Nazi Germany. It shows you the group of Nazis and how that's affecting them and everything, the Nazi party, which I think is definitely very interesting. And also, the ending of this movie has to be one of the most chilling endings, I think, ever. I mean, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they went that far. I mean, the ending, it sticks with you. It sticks in your mind. It's an image you won't be able to get out, but the movie also leaves you on a great note with that song as well, which I think is great that the movie does end with a song, but it ends you on such a dark note, and it really goes with the movie, and that it's just showing you what happened. There's no message to this movie. It's just like, here is a representation of the Nazi Party done in a musical, and here's what happened. I mean, it's very dark, and it really works perfectly as a movie. It's one of those movies where I honestly think that it might work better as a movie than it would as a stage play. I think it would work great as a stage play, but it works, I think, a lot better as a movie. There are things they could do in this movie that they couldn't do as a stage play, and you really do see that in this movie. I think they did a great job with that, and I really do love that, I have to say. Also, they also do a great job of making the Ku Klux, the Kit Kat Club seem like. Did I say Ku Klux Klan? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why that came to mind. But the Kit Kat Club, they make it seem like an actual club, which I think is pretty fascinating the way they did that. And the movie did win for Best Director, which it definitely deserved, and Best Actress for Liza Minnelli, which was amazing, and also Best Supporting Actor for Joel Grey, which I'm very happy about. They deserved all those. They deserved all those awards, and it really deserves everything it got. But that's just my review, Cabaret. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys saw this movie. If you have seen it, overall, it's by far one of the best musicals I think I've ever seen. I really do love this movie. I hope you guys do check it out. By far, 5 out of 5 or an A+. I love Cabaret. It's such an effective movie. It'll have such an impact on you. I mean, even if you're not into musicals, you should still watch this movie. It's probably one of the best films you could watch about the Nazis and, anti-war. It's kind of an anti-war film in a way, which I think is definitely very interesting the way they handle that. It's not something you go into with a musical, but it is sort of an anti-war film, which I think is pretty fascinating the way they handle it, I have to say. I definitely really love that about the film. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. If you have seen it, please check it out. Even if you don't want to check it out, at least watch the Tomorrow Belongs to Me scene. I guarantee that'll have an impact on you. And something of this movie will definitely have an impact on you. Whether it's the amazing story, the absolutely stunning visuals, the amazing songs, the chilling ending. I mean, Joel Grey's amazing performance as the MC. No matter what it is, something in this movie has to have an impact on you. Something will stick with you, and it really is something for everyone. But that's basically my review. Hope you enjoy it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which we're going to review for this week of Big Brother 17. And yeah, there is a lot to talk about. And also, I will be reviewing Wayward Pines as well, because they leaked it online early. So once I have the recap, I can review that, and I'll see you guys for both of those. Okay, bye.